So good morning, everybody. This is our webinar on biomimicry and green innovation in the context of our project DigitCrash. I would like to inform everybody that this session is being recorded for documenting activities. So today's presentation is going to be about biomimicry and green innovation. So what we're going to discuss is different design methodologies that are inspired by nature. And we will see the advantages of these design methodologies in introducing solutions that are beneficial both for humans and also for the environment. So let's start first by discussing human-centered design. Over the last few decades, people discuss human-centered design. It's actually one of the big methodologies that is being discussed, introducing solutions that are have human beings at the center. This is a very good idea to introduce solutions with human beings at the center, to try to design solutions that address the needs of individuals. However, it is missing the point in one major way, that human beings are not the only species on the planet. So when we discuss about human-centered design, we do not consider the needs of any other species. In this sense, human-centered design has failed us. We need different approaches to design that integrate the needs of all the species in a symbiotic manner. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And let's start by discussing what are ecosystem services. Ecosystems are live systems that include different animal species, different plant species. It is all the species in the environment where they normally live. So let's discuss about ecosystem services. Ecosystem services refer to the fact that, for example, a forest, the value of a forest is not only on the wood that it produces. A forest gives us a lot of things. One of them is it provides services and goods, for example, food or water or raw materials like wood or energy. But it also provides a lot of other things. For example, regulating services, it helps balance the climate, it helps balance the water cycle, the rain cycle, it helps purify water, pollination, and it gives us ingredients with which we can fight disease, we can make medicines out of. It also includes supporting services, for example, by breaking down breaking down nutrients to organic elements. This is the cycle of life, and it is very important for regrowth. And finally, cultural services. So nature, for example, forests are recreational. They have aesthetic value. It is something that is beautiful to look at. And they also have spiritual significance. For some people, they are sacred places. So as we can see, ecosystem services go well beyond the wood, for example, or ingredients that we can get from nature to address also aesthetic or cultural or regulating benefits. So having discussed that, like I said in the beginning, today we're going to discuss different approaches for design that have natural inspiration. So let's first talk about what we call multi-species design. Multi-species design is something that extends human-centered design. So the idea behind multi-species design is that we design not only for humans, but all the species that are inside our ecosystem. So when we plan and when we develop human environments, for example, cities, we need to not only take into consideration the needs of the people that live in the cities, but we need to create spaces where the different other species can also flourish. That is a symbiotic relationship. And if we want to be, if we don't want to do this for the good of nature and we only want to be selfish, even then it is beneficial to us because we create a space for other species that are useful to us to flourish. For example, bees. So, the principles of multi-species design is that we are inclusive ecologically, meaning that we incorporate habitats and resources and spaces for other species, and I will give examples very soon. We take into consideration that the species are independent, but also they're symbiotic. So there is a benefit from an environment where multiple species flourish. It strengthens the ecosystem. And finally, ethical considerations. It is the ethical thing to do, to not only take care of ourselves, but also take care of the other species. So having said that, let me give some examples of multi-species design. One of these examples is in Canada. This is the Banff Wildlife Crossings. As we can see here, we have a major highway that interrupts the forest into two. But the creators have also created green overpasses that allow animals to cross from the one side to the other of the highway safely. So this is safer for the animals. They don't need to cross the highway. It is safer for drivers because animals will not be appearing in the highway, and there will be less accidents. Another example is what is called the Bee Highway, and this is in Oslo. So what people have done in Oslo is that recognizing the importance of providing a habitat for bees, they have created corridors that cross the entire city. And these corridors are made of plants for bees to be able to rest while they're crossing the city, or to be able to stay in the city and live there. So they have humongous beehives. For example, what we can see here, it is a very big beehive. And also you can see that there is plants, and this is a friendly environment for the bees. They can also find food, they can find water, so they can flourish in the city. Another example is the Acros building in Japan. This building was developed in an area that was meant to be, it was designated an area to build a park. So naturally, when the idea came to develop a building for services, for example, there were a lot of complaints and protests from the people living in the area. So they came up with this solution where we have both the building and the park, only the park is vertical. So it is in big steps. So people can still go and walk on the park. We still have green spaces, but it is not flat. It is a little bit vertical. Finally, another example is green buildings in Milan. These buildings, as you can see, they have a very big balconies, and in the balconies we have some very luscious gardens. We have a lot of trees and different plants. And what this does is it helps clean the air, because we have basically green buildings. It also provides habitats for birds. It also absorbs CO2, carbon emissions, and it regulates humidity. So let me go on and discuss a different methodology, design methodology that is inspired by nature. This methodology is biomimicry. So biomimicry means exactly that we mimic nature. So it means that we take inspiration from nature to solve human challenges. So we mimic different natural forms, natural processes, and how ecosystems work. And this creates solutions that are more resilient and sustainable and efficient. So the idea behind biomimicry is that nature has been around for billions of years, a lot longer than us. So there is wisdom developed in nature well beyond that we ever existed. And we can benefit from this wisdom by integrating it into solutions. So in biomimicry, we can use nature in two ways. First of all, we can use nature as a model or mentor, meaning that we study natural forms and we simulate them. And we can also use nature as a measure, meaning as a benchmark. This means we compare our solutions to natural solutions to see if they are as efficient, as beneficial. For example, when we develop synthetic materials, then we can compare this material to natural materials to see if they are as strong, as durable, as flexible, depending on the characteristics that we're interested in. So let me give some examples of biomimicry. The first example has to do with the swimsuits of the Olympic swimmers. So what Olympic swimmers require is as little traction as possible with the water. So the swimsuits of the Olympic swimmers simulate the skin of sharks that have very little traction in water, allowing them to swim faster. So this is a direct inspiration from nature. Another example is Velcro. Velcro is what we all know that we use for example, for closing shoes, for securing shoes or other things. It is inspired by the burrs of the burdock plant that have tiny needles, and there in these needles, different, for example, seeds get caught, and when they fly, they get moved into different areas, and they help pollination and the regrowth, basically. So this is another example. Another example is this Shinkansen bullet train in Japan and other bullet trains in other countries. The beak of the nose of this bullet train, as we can see here, is very narrow. It is inspired by the beak of the kingfisher, which is a bird. And this has many benefits because it is aerodynamic. It reduces noise. So not only it makes the train go faster, it reduces noise. It has less air resistance. So we also reduce energy consumption. Okay, so all these benefits, and the train is also faster. Another example is self-cooling buildings. These are inspired by termite mounds in Africa. In Africa, the termites create these habitats that are very tall, and due to this design feature, they're also cooler. So this inspiration has been used for cooling buildings in a natural way without the need of air conditioning. So here we have these very tall chimneys, and these chimneys, inspired by the termite mounds, help the building cool naturally. And finally, let me say a few things about the wind turbine blades The wind turbine blades, as you can see in this picture, are not smooth, but they have edges. And these edges, they are inspired by the fins of whales that also have edges. And actually, they are more efficient in dragging air, similarly to how whales drag water. So we have more efficient windmills. So let me move on to one last methodology. This is called nature-based solutions. Nature-based solutions are very similar to biomimicry in the sense that we are inspired by natural forms and processes to create better solutions. But they are more specialized than biomimicry because when we talk about nature-based solutions, typically we refer to solutions that are related to sustainability. So they aim to solve big social issues related to sustainability, resilience, biodiversity, well-being. So they are more directed to solutions that refer to the 17 UN sustainability goals about green cities, effective infrastructures, preserving biodiversity, clean energy, things like that. So yes, we are inspired by nature, but unlike the examples before where we were trying to actually solve a lot of commercial problems, for example, how to make swimsuits have less traction, here we're trying to solve sustainability and social problems. So let me give you some examples of biomimicry. One of them is what we call rewilding ecosystems. So here is the example about the Yellowstone National Park in the United States. So the Yellowstone National Park was suffering by degradation of the ecosystem. And what people working in the preservation of the environment did is they reintroduced the wolves that were extinct in the park. So they introduced 20 wolves in the park. And when the wolves entered the park, something magical happened. So the first thing that happened is, as is expected, the wolves ate some of the deer. And this is normal. But very quickly, the deer realized that they need to avoid certain parts of the woods because the wolves are there. And when they avoided these parts of the woods, then plants started coming back because the problem was that the deer were eating all the plants, even when they were very small. So plants started coming back, the forest started coming back, other species started coming back in the new habitat, in the new forest. And eventually, beavers came back in the river. And the beavers started building dams. And the dams started basically to create spaces for regrowth of the river basin. So what happened is the river went back to its original shape. So introducing 20 wolves in the forest resulted in changing the direction of the river. So let me say a couple more. This is an example in Zanzibar and the Philippines. So what is happening here is we have we cultivate the people that live there actually cultivate seaweed. The reason why they cultivate the seaweed is because seaweed is actually very effective in absorbing carbon emissions, maybe even more effective than natural forests. So by cultivating seaweed, we have a natural way of absorbing carbon emissions. And also this provides employment to the people that are the farmers that farm the seaweed. This is a way for them to have some additional income. Similarly, in Australia, they have created natural structures for regrowing corals, restoring the coral reefs. So the reason why they want to restore the coral reefs is because the coral reefs protect the coasts from erosion erosion that happens from the sea coming out. So the coasts are being protected by coral reefs. So the artificial way to protect the coast would be to build a cement wall, but the natural way is to create a natural coral reef that is equally efficient and it does not disturb the environment. It also supports biodiversity because the new coral reef, it becomes a habitat for small species, small fish, and other species. And the last one is green infrastructures in cities. So many cities go down this path. They create green roofs or they create green spaces. And a lot of the time, these are not only green roofs that are a very good way for people to relax, also a very good way for absorbing carbon emissions and cleaning the air. But also, these gardens can be gardens for producing vegetables, things that we eat. So we don't need to necessarily only produce decorative plants, but we can also farm vegetables and other things that we eat, and then we also have basically natural bio ingredients for our food. So this is it about biomimicry design and innovation inspired by nature. I don't know if there is some question. If not, then thank you for listening, and this presentation will be available on the project portal.